morning, everyone. Welcome to the Port Center Spotlight Podcast. I am here with my good friend, excellent teacher, wonderful Port Jervis employee, Port Jervis graduate, Mr. Austin Carroll. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in early here on a Wednesday.
A little early, but that's all right.
All right. He's got first period prep.
Yes.
I said, Austin, when can we get you? And here we are. Austin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Appreciate you coming on for the program. This is the Port Center Spotlight Podcast. Excuse me. And we are interviewing staff, students, alumni from the Port Jervis area, again, celebrating and sharing the great things that are happening in and around our school district. So thank you, Austin.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
We'll see where this goes and see how much fun we have.
That's right. I'm sure your colleagues, your good friends will be tuning in. If you are tuning in live, let us know where you're watching from, and certainly give Mr. Carroll a shout out here. So, Austin, I did ask you on for a number of reasons, and we're going to get to certainly your military service, your veteran status here on the eve of Veterans Day this week here. But I did want to start with you here at Port Jervis, 14 years as a teacher here. Why don't you tell us about your journey, coming to work here at Port Jervis?
Well, that would tie in with the military, to be honest with you. I can give you a long or short version. The long version is 9/11 happened, and I was on a different career path. I was in college in Oneonta. I got pulled out of college.
You were not studying to be an educator.
I was not. I had no plans of education. I could tell you my senior year of high school, if you told me I was going to be a teacher, I'd be like, no way, no shot. But 9/11 happens and I get pulled out of college. I wanted to get involved with immigration, law enforcement. Those are the areas that I really was focused on. And that's what I really wanted to do.
Because you were enrolled in the Air National Guard already.
Yes. I enlisted in 1997 and 2001, 4 years into it. I get pulled out. And I do about 2 years of active duty, living in a hotel room in Newburgh, bouncing around, working crazy shifts, and supporting Iraqi freedom, the Afghanistan war, and all that stuff. And I decided I was going to get a full-time job and work with the military. One day at work, a buddy of mine at work said, "Hey, Mount St. Mary offers college courses during lunch on the Marine side." So I started taking them. And then I found out that they were offering classes at West Point. So I would work my regular shift, go to school till about 11 o'clock at night when I got home from West Point, and I would do it over and over and over again until I got my 4-year degree.
Wow.
Got my 4-year degree, and the counselor at Mount St. Mary, I don't remember her name, but she's the reason why I was here. She said, I said to her, I kind of not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I want to be a guidance counselor, but I want to coach. I want to work with kids. And because I had a conversation with Tim Leonard, ironically, he was my baseball coach for some time, and he said, "Why don't you become a teacher?" So I talked to her about that, and she guided me down the path. Went and got my master's degree, and here I am. It's the only place I applied.
Wow.
Because it was either I got a job here or I was going to volunteer and do a tour overseas if I didn't get the job here.
Yeah.
And then the next year I'd apply everywhere, but my heart was set on Port Jervis.
Beautiful. And he's here 14 years teaching. That's a great story. Tim Leonard, who were some other educators here, Austin, that had a deep impact on you?
Miss Lenihan, she's no longer here, but I had a teacher named Miss Lenihan, Miss Lambert. They were awesome. Yeah. Miss Lambert, I wasn't very good at English, but I changed my schedule just so I could have my class with her. I just put my desk next to hers, and she was very nurturing, very guiding for me, and it was very important in my life. And harking back to elementary school, Miss Michael Ennis, she was amazing, and I had her during a tough time in my life, and she was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
These educators making an impact on people, and again, changing the course of their lives. Miss Lamberg, a lot of accountability there. She was not letting you off the hook with anything.
No, she was good. She was very good. Awesome. I enjoyed her. Yes.
Austin, it's a hard time in education now. COVID turned everything upside down. The education world has changed. What would you tell a new educator here? We have a number of new staff over the past couple of years. What advice as a veteran teacher would you offer?
Well, I have one in my house. I have a wife right now she's finishing up student teaching. So I talk to her all the time. Number one thing, connect with the kids. Classroom management. Nothing else can happen. And a little plug for her. Anyone in the 845 area code looking for a teacher can be available come this winter. My wife is a perfect candidate for for an elementary position.
Mrs. Carroll getting a shout out here on the program.
I got to plug away. But no, she's going to be awesome. But that's kind of what I tell her. And that's what I would tell any teachers. Like, you got to manage the classroom. You got to work with the kids, and you got to develop relationships. Without any of that, you don't have it. And I remember my job interview that you sat in, which you were part of the hiring process. So thank you. You said you did a nice job about talking about connecting with kids.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game. If you can't connect, they're not going to listen.
And that's what we're doing here on this podcast. We want to connect with our kids, our community, our people, and share the great people that we have here in Port Jervis. Austin, you and your colleagues, special education department, social studies department, there's a wonderful rapport, especially in those co-teaching classrooms. It's almost as like a performance in a way, but there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of rapport. Tell me about that. Is it something that just comes naturally? Do you rehearse with your co-teachers? Tell me about that rapport in the classroom.
Well, I've bounced around my first few years working here, working with different individuals. But I really found a niche with Eric Andrews. He'll tell you he doesn't want to have me around anymore, but we've been together for about 10 years, and we had this is natural for us. We bounce off each other. The kids enjoy, I think, our banter. We just literally have a blast. We tease each other here or there, and it relaxes the room.
Yeah,
kids who don't normally participate are going to participate because they feel comfortable.
Yes.
They come into the room, they feel very comfortable. They're having a good time. They're laughing. Not a lot of bells and whistles that happen in there. Short, simple, easy, and the kids will enjoy that too.
Mm-hmm.
They do enjoy sometimes simplicity, and that's what we bring. And it's a good. It's definitely a good time.
We call it rapport and collaboration here. They call it banter, and it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Austin, again, an alumni here, serving in the military, our community. Your family lives in the community here.
Yes.
Port pride, it's come a long way, right? Since, again, when you were in town, we just chatted about some other schools where maybe you weren't as impressed when you went there, even though their reputation is there. What does Port pride mean to you, and what does it mean to have been part of this forward movement that we got going on here?
It's everything. I harken back to my grandparents, my great-grandfather, Austin, who bought a bar in town, and my grandparents ended up selling it in the 80s. I mean, our family's a stable. We love this. We love this town. My sisters are involved. It's a huge part. It's the reason why I only wanted to apply here. I want to be part of this community. This community is awesome. The forward progress that's happening in town now. Look at the stuff that now soon to be former Mayor Decker has changed the downtown. We got hotels going up. We have all kinds of stuff happening. I would like to see a youth center for our kids. It'd be nice. It was a place for those kids to go to a more state-of-the-art one. But it's just, Port pride's everything. Look at the football. Look at this. We have an announce team. We have announcers do radio, like we were talking before the interview.
Mm-hmm.
People from Oregon are listening. I used to coach football, and we go around. I don't see many radio announcers for other schools. We have them.
Shout out to
Kevin, Tom, and
Halpin.
Ethan, man. They kill it. It's great.
Doing a great job
Yes.
for the Raiders there, and you were part of that for many years, coaching with us, Austin. Different teams, baseball, football. You have now kind of turned the page there for a while, spending time with your daughter,
Yes.
Softball and her career.
And basketball, yep.
Tell me about that switch in your life for you, and what it means to you to be there with your daughter.
It's a huge switch. This is one of the biggest decisions I've made. It was, it was not an easy decision. I was back and forth several times. I had some conversations with people, and I'm happy, but I'm also sad. I'm excited to watch what they're doing with football. I miss baseball tremendously as well, but I know my heart's in the right place, that I'm with my daughter and supporting her. I only have one child.
Yeah.
There's no replay button, as I tell people. Only one shot to go through it, and she's number one, and I can't miss out on those opportunities. So I listen to the radio broadcast sometimes during pitching lessons. I'm sitting on a bucket catching my daughter pitching, and I'm hearing Kevin and Tom, and I'm like, oh, And
Keep your eye on that ball.
yeah,
Catch
I
one.
might catch one because I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, she started to throw a little harder. She's getting a little older, so
How old is your daughter?
she's 10. She's
10.
a very busy little girl. She loves sports, which is nice. And I'm transitioning into being coach to dad, coach, and dad watching. So I'm listening to podcasts and how do you handle that situation? How do you communicate to a coach? How do you communicate to your daughter? I heard an awesome podcast the other day. This guy, Coach Ballgame, does a fantastic job talking about youth sports. MLB has just started promoting him and pushing him, and talk to your child. How do they want you to cheer for them? I never thought about that.
Not scream instructions from the
Well,
stands.
it depends what your child wants.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. So I asked her, she played last weekend up in Marlboro. I said, Shayna, how do you want me to cheer for you? Do you want me to be quiet? Do you want me to say good job? Or do you want me to be loud and say good job? What one do you want? And she actually thought about it, reflected on it, and said, Dad, just say good job. I'm like, do you want me to give you instruction on things you did wrong? So, and then, yeah, and they also talked about this hat theory and stuff, which was nice about when to talk to your kids and when not talk to your kids about what they're doing right and wrong. Unfortunately, softball, she doesn't really wear a hat. So how the whole premise works is when the hat's on, the kid wears a hat. Let's talk about the game. When the hat's off, let's not talk about the game. So I have to figure out something for her to wear as a signaling device, because the coach in me wants to say, but I like to stay away as much as I can, and I want to enjoy her. I don't want her to feel, that I'm on top of her and pushing her and making her uncomfortable either. And there's times that I have to pull back, and I have my wife that helps me with that.
They do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. Again, Austin Carroll balancing teaching, coaching, and certainly, parenting on his journey here. If you're watching live, certainly say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in. Thanks, Ms. Bradano, one of the biggest fans of the show watching. Ms. Babcock, thanks for tuning in. Austin, again, the timing of having you on, it's November 8th, Wednesday here, and Veterans Day is coming up this weekend. Again, 16 years in the military.
Yep.
Let's start with your decision there to join, to sign up. What was that like for you back in your high school days?
I'll make it simple. My dad says you're joining the military.
That was it.
Yeah, it was, there's a lot of things, there's things I don't agree with my dad does. But that was one I'm glad he made that decision for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a choice. It was, you're joining the military. And fortunately for me, he had a friend who was in the Guard at Stewart, a guy by the name of Ronnie Culver, who kind of mentored me and nurtured me through a Port Jervis alum. And ends up, ironically, my father-in-law's best friend too, as well. At the time, I wasn't married, and he was a big support for me. I could talk to him and go to him with concerns. He eased my fear of joining, because it was new. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He served in the Pacific.
Wow.
And it's awesome. But military wasn't really pushed in our family. But my father decided, he could see that I was kind of lost. I wasn't knowing what direction I wanted to go in. I wasn't the best student in school. As I was telling you before the broadcast, I'm more of a late bloomer. I started getting my stuff more together, more motivated to do well later in life. My grandfather, so my dad saw that and said, this is the right decision for my son. And it was the best decision.
In Austin, we have an active participation here in Port Jervis. Year after year, kids are signing up. We welcome the military into our hallways to greet our kids. How do you talk to kids now about their decision, possibly going down that route?
I ask them what the recruiter tells them. What have they told you? Here's what I know. I still have connections. There's actually a kid, Eddie Quick, who I coached in football, is in my shop now that I used to be in. It just ended up that way. I had no influence on that decision, and I got a text from the guy who runs our shop, one of my closest friends, Sergeant Alvarado, who's like, hey, do you know this kid? He says he knows you, and I said, absolutely. And I went there this past summer to get a new ID, and I happened to run into him. Yeah. So, but any kid that comes across, I'm more than happy to help him, give them the advice that I know of, and then I kind of push them towards the Air National Guard, which is an awesome opportunity for locals who want to join the Guard. A little plug here. You get to pick where you want to be, money for college. And if you're lost like I was, it's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Austin, watching you grow as a young teacher, we kind of were here together in the tough times. you brought a lot of discipline to our school. You're always here early, always taking care of your things. Tell me some of the lessons that you brought from your time in the Air National Guard to here in Port Jervis.
Showing up on time, being responsible for your actions. One of my favorite quotes that my old chief would say is, "It could be worse. You could be in a foxhole with bullets flying over your head." And that's kind of the way I take it. Things like, hey, could be bad. I remember one of the first days I worked here, we're in the cafeteria and I picked up the broom. You're like, you didn't have to do that. I'm like, it's here. We're a team. We're working together, collaboration. And that's what the military pushes. Is like, you're working together, you're a unit. That's why they shave your heads. They get rid of that individual identity. And it's a team effort. And this school is a community. We are a team. We all work together. We have an awesome staff. We have awesome administration. And really, it just fit. Just worked.
Yeah. And again, that teamwork that in the special education department, social studies department is very active together there. And you've been a big part of that, Austin. You also serve in a different role here as part of the union. You're a union leader involved in building issues and bringing people together. Tell me about that role as a building rep here with the PJTA and your leadership there.
Well, it harkens back to the military. I was a leader in the military. I was a tech sergeant in E6. I was in charge of some airmen. So I always had to work with upper management. And that's kind of the role I play here. At times when either side's disgruntled, I try to be that go-between. I try to listen. Sometimes the feedback I give back isn't what people want to hear, but I'm blunt, I'm to the point. Here it is. This is what I see as well. And let's fix it. Let's move on. And we're here for what? The kids.
That's right.
Number one thing is the kids.
Austin, what will Veterans Day mean to you this weekend? There'll be a lot of patriotism, a lot of pride in our country. The flag is flying there. It's here.
It's everywhere.
A lot of pride in our school and our country here. What will it mean for you here on the eve of Veterans Day this week?
It means everything. What's going on in the world. I was just texting my buddy last week, and I have a student of mine who loves the military. And I was like, hey, if you have any extra equipment that I can come pick up that's school safe to bring in, set it aside for me. And he wrote back, he's like, you have no idea. He's like, remember what happened after 9/11? That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
He says, we're busy. I'll do the best I can.
Wow.
So I'm thinking about my friends that are still there who, some might have to have a little change of scenery coming up. I don't know. But I'll be thinking about them and their futures and their families, more importantly, and everyone who served. I have some awesome relationships, some great relationships, and I like to reach out and stay in touch with those guys as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll be thinking about. And you drive through the town, you see all the flags of all our veterans, people who've served. They have the park out in Deer Park with that memorial you put the little stone in. I've been meaning to do one for my grandfather. I'm kind of lax on that, but yeah. That's what I'll be thinking about.
Well, we honor Austin today here on the program, but also, again, Veterans Day. And, when you talk about Port Pride, when you talk about role model for young people, Mr. Carroll is one of them, one of the many here in Port Jervis that we're fortunate to have. So I'm grateful for you coming on. Austin, any last messages for our community? And, anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I hope to see the football team win a 5th section title this weekend. It'll be nice. No pressure on Chris and Damien. They'll be fine. It's going to be exciting. I'll be listening to it on the radio most likely, and I'm excited to watch their journey and watch them grow with the kids. Look at all the stuff that's going on in the district. Oh man, I regret having to leave coaching. We got turf fields coming. We got all kinds of stuff happening. Dr. Bell's come in and he's like, let's go. Let's get this stuff done. And it's awesome. And my daughter is going to reap some of these benefits of what's coming in the future.
Absolutely. So many good things coming. Our building project.
Exciting.
What's it been like, Austin, as a teacher with all this kind of crammed together with our middle school here? We're almost, this year is going to end. At ASK, we'll move over to the old middle school. What has it been like for you here?
Well, I think Joe Becker's a little late on his rent. I said he owes me whenever I see him. No, but seriously, it's been great. It's kind of cool to have them over here and to see them.
It has been.
Selfish me is kind of excited too now that they're over here because my daughter's gonna be one of those first sixth graders next year. Yeah, middle schoolers. So I can leave.
Timing was good.
Yeah, so it's gonna work out. But it's been great, and it's nice to see PJTA members that I don't normally get to see. That, you know, they had their building, but now we get to see them interact, and we see what they do and take things from what they've been doing that works.
Yeah,
and hopefully they're taking some stuff that we do here in our building that works. And again, collaboration, working together.
Austin, maybe a young person that might watch this, thinking about becoming an educator, what would you tell that person today?
Do it. If you like kids and you want to change someone's life, do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And again, Austin Carroll has done that in many ways. So I appreciate you coming on, Austin. He is a beacon of Port pride here, and we honor him here on Veterans Day week. All of our veterans here in our community, many in our school district here. So we thank you. And I thank Austin for coming on. I know, what's the saying? Few were called, no, few were chosen. Many. How's it going?
I'm not sure where you're going with this.
He answered the bell here on,
Yeah.
on the program, so I appreciate that.
No problem. Hopefully more people will start coming on and watch this explode and
Yeah.
kick
Yeah.
off.
All right.
It's fun.
We're going to wrap up here on the Port Center Spotlight podcast. And again, Lindsay's watching. Hi, Lindsay. Good morning.
Hey, sis.
And we appreciate Austin, his family, and all the stuff he's doing. So thank a veteran this week, certainly this weekend. And like Austin said, go Raiders this weekend.
Yeah, big game. Let's get five in a row.
Austin Carroll, everyone. We're going to sign off here on the program. Follow us on social media, our website, and all the great things that are happening. We are fortunate in Port Jervis to have many great educators like Austin. So thanks for coming on. Let's get this music here. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. Leave Austin a comment if you're watching this on record. And again, check out all the great things that are happening here in Port Jervis. Austin, can you give us a go Port?
Go Port.
There we go. Tom Faggio, good morning. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're going to sign off here on the program. And go Port. And thanks for all the great things in our community. Keep rolling, friends.